One political party for whole of the Northeast. Why? Is it about political recalibration or genuine regional assertion? What are the consequences of it, and what are we looking as the future of Northeast? For decades, Northeast has been called India's forgotten frontier. We have 8 states, hundreds of tribes and thousands of identities involved in here. But for the first time in history, they have decided to come together as one identity with one symbol and all together in unity. Hello everyone, welcome to Vajram and Ravi's Flash News. My name is Shubhangi Singh and today we are going to understand this proposal of bringing a political front for whole of the Northeast, because we shouldn't take this as just a political move. This could be a watermark where the federal history of our country changes and the representation of Northeast as well. So let us understand this in detail. So basically there has been a landmark move in which 7 sisters plus Sikkim, that means 8 states involved. There has been a proposal from all the regional leaders to come under the name of One Northeast, where they will be represented by one symbol, one flag and one identity. When we talk about this particular announcement that has been done recently, it becomes important for us to first understand that why this was needed. And in order to establish why this was needed, let us understand what did the political landscape of Northeast look like and how did it affect that particular region. So starting with, when we talk about the Northeast political landscape, the first thing you have to understand, yes, they might be very similar in terms of geography and the region itself, but the political representation has been absolutely fragmented here and they have been divided by politics for the longest time. So when I am referring to this region, Northeast region, as I have already explained you, I am talking about 8 states, 7 sisters plus including Sikkim. Now if you talk about the political representation, you have to understand that this region itself contributes to 25 Lok Sabha seats and 14 Rajya Sabha seats. But the problem is this 25 seats and these 14 seats, they are distributed over different parties, and that is why the need of this region itself is fragmented by the agendas that are set by the political parties. Furthermore, another important point to understand the political landscape is the fact that historically all of these states individually have had very strong regional parties. But the problem is we have not seen a very single united alliance in this region which can serve the needs or which can represent the whole region, which enhances the bargaining power of this particular region. And that is why there has been constant dependence of these particular regional parties on national parties, be it BJP, be it Congress, or the alliances that they have on the national level. But the problem that comes with it is the fact that once these regional parties have to be dependent on the national parties, the bargaining power they have becomes very limited. So their ask in negotiation is not balanced, and that is where their regional approach or the regional need or the requirements, they are compromised. Another important factor that you have to understand in terms of regional challenges is the fact that we have common regional challenges. So when we are talking about a common political front, this might be able to help there. For example, in this region you will find proper identity protection and also autonomy across these states. How? 6 schedule. Then we have also the ILP system, that is inner line permit. Furthermore, you will also find ethnic conflicts and insurgencies. So where we need to bring the interstate coordination, where we need to bring a political front, this is where this can be utilized. Another important factor that you need to understand right here, that there are disputes such as borders, there is limited connectivity, limited infrastructure, and most importantly unemployment and migration. When we are talking about these issues, they need to be addressed through development and this requires funds which needs the attention of the central government and the national parties. As I mentioned, when regional parties depend on national parties, their bargaining power loses, it decreases, and that is what we do not want for this region. So in this whole landscape, you will understand why this political front becomes important. We'll go into the detail of that as well. Now that you have a clear understanding of what the political landscape looks like, what are the challenges, what are the features to it, now let us move to understand that what has happened and how it is related to this. So this announcement of One Northeast has been done, and it talks about formation of a united regional front where they have a very simple slogan that we'll have one flag, one symbol and one entity. This whole announcement, why it is called being a major move, is the fact that it saw the representation from all the corners of region. This was not coming from a singular state, this came from this whole region, and it talked about that the leadership that will be in this particular front, it will be indigenous and there will be collective representation. That means here we will have shared decision making, and the decision making will be coming in from the states itself. Furthermore, in this very announcement, another important factor which came as a joint statement was that they clearly highlighted the fact that the strength of Northeast lies in the unity, and if Northeast wants to be heard, it wants to be respected and also represented, it can be done very well with one particular voice. Now let us try to break down this particular announcement. First, you will get to see that when we talk about the presence of leaders, you will find it from different backgrounds, you will find them from different states and with multiple roles across the front that has been proposed. The front, the draft and other things will be released later, it is in movement, but the list in front of you itself highlights the fact that these leaders represent the linguistic, the ethnic as well as tribal diversity which is present in the region. But what they are here for? They are here for real-time political assertion at the national level, which will come with a proper united front. And this also marks the first serious effort after India's independence where Northeast has come together to politically institutionalize the regionalism across the state boundaries, and this is where it explains with the heavy weight, the historicity that we are talking about. Now let us also understand the main slogan that we talked about, that what exactly it is the symbolism that we are going for. So for example, when we talk about the first point there, one flag, it basically represents that there will be a regional identity which is beyond the state identity. Furthermore, one symbol. Now this is a very important, a strategic move so that the electoral presence, when this front represents and enters the electoral race in this region, so they have a clear identification for the voters. So a single identity in the ballet will help people to understand that they are coming from this particular front, and this front can serve the purposes which is required for this very region. And last, when they are talking about one entity, it is nothing but a simplification of the long-term vision which highlights that this is Northeast's party, this is a people's party, it is a collective political institution. So the structure that has been made, it mirrors a successful regional front that we have already seen in past, be it the DMK-led alliance when we talk about Tamil Nadu of the Dravidian unity in the 1960s, if we talk about the AGP of 1980s where we saw Assamese assertion post Assam movement, and we have also seen Northeast Democratic Alliance, that is NEDA, which comes as dependent on BJP on Congress, but here we have to understand this political front is different from NEDA because it is independent of any national party. This is what makes this political front unique in this very situation. And now comes the most important factor, why this has been announced. As much as this is appreciated, the importance of the representation, collective representation, what brought this at this particular point of time. So first important, when we are talking about one symbol, electoral representation, in this scenario you have to understand 2026 is the time where assembly elections will take place in many northeast states. Can you tell me in the comment section which northeast states are going to see elections in 2026? So this is the opportunity for this front to perform and show what they can do. So this is the right time to enter and perform also. Second, this is the time where we have seen extreme weakening of Congress, but also at the same time where BJP found an inlet into these region, there is to an extent saturation. We also get to see incumbency in this particular scenario. And important factor is there, just like whole of Pan India, and here we also get to see emerging youth and identity politics, especially after the Manipur crisis that we saw a year back. This was like a wake-up call where Northeast understood that it is not about the states, it is about being heard, understood and respected. So in this whole scenario, this front found it the right timing, supported by a trigger, a emotion and also an opportunity which lies right in front of them, which showed them that they need to come together with a unified voice so that they actually get the governments to work on the Act East policy that they talk, the border trade corridors that have existed, and this is also a symbol of strategic frustration. Even though in recent years we have seen Northeast being linked, be it through trade, be it through connectivity, but the problem is this movement, this development that has been talked about so much still remains slow in form of the implementation of central projects, and this is where Northeast is looking to get more bargaining power at their end. This might just seem like a political move, but this is right in the direction to change the federal history that exists in this particular region. Now let us move and understand what is exactly the vision and objective of this particular political front. So first thing that has been outlined and that can be understood, that they want political empowerment. They want better representation of the region so that the region's aspiration are part of the national policy making that exists. They are also looking to negotiate and get better fiscal devolution and also special category status. And there should be enhanced autonomy. So all in all, they are looking to address the regional needs through various means of political representation. Another factor they have mentioned is about cultural assertion, where they want to protect tribal languages, the customs, the traditional institutions that have existed, and that can only be done when the regional powers or the regional parties have enough weightage. And they also want to counter the external narratives that exist of alienation as well as marginalization that exist. This also directly contributes towards economic development. They are looking to advocate for a region-specific infrastructure. For example, there should be a northeast-specific industrial corridor, there should be proper digital connectivity, there should be better regional trade links, and they are pushing for greater central investment and also better public-private partnerships. So if you see the visions and objectives, the idea here is to address the challenges that exist in Northeast. Another example here is, in terms of vision, is security and peace building. So they want to bring in joint mechanisms so that the border disputes can be addressed, the insurgencies that still exist, they can be changed, there can be better rehabilitation, and push for a development-led model that we have seen in terms of change of nationalism across our nation. That should be need to be focused on instead of militarization. If you want to understand the end of nationalism and how the red corridor has changed into growth corridor and how the tide has changed, you can go and watch this particular video of mine. You will have a better understanding there. Apart from that, we have already understood the timing factor, why it has come now. But as much as this is appreciated, we also need to recognize there are multiple challenges that exist in the way of this particular frontier. For example, the diversity that we have talked about, which unifies, which is being tried to be unified through this particular political front, this diversity will also have contradictions. We have 220 plus ethnic groups, 160 plus languages. There are state specific aspirations. This state wants that, for example, Tripura land in Tripura versus Greater Nagalingam. So these are state specific aspirations where the states are also in front of each other. Other than that, it is important to balance power. There are certain dominant states, be it Assam, be it Meghalaya, they might overshadow the smaller ones. That also needs to be balanced. Other challenges such as the national party dynamics. It would not be easy to let the importance of national party go away. So in this scenario, will it be possible to remain independent? For example, NPP and Tripura Mota both have had past alliances with BJP. So will they actually remain independent of the national party? Then we have legal and institutional barriers. For example, party registration, the symbol allocation, Election Commission of India recognition, all of these, how this will be done, and most importantly, the public buy-in. If we are talking about the voters, in this scenario, voters will also always look to prioritize their own issues first. So whenever we talk about elections, you always understand that assembly elections are very different from Lok Sabha elections in terms of a voter. Their priorities are different. Similarly, in assembly elections, you have to understand the priority of the voter is the state itself, not the region. In this situation, the unity of votes that this political front is looking for might not be possible. But all in all, even if this works out, there are huge implications that we need to understand. For example, for federalism, this will strengthen the cooperative regionalism and also plural democracy. This will further encourage other regions. For example, we talk about Bundelkhand, Gorkhaland, Ladakh, so that they come together for better political articulation and in better ways. It can also have impact on governance, it will have an impact on security, and most importantly, it will be an important factor when we talk about our diplomacy in terms of Act East strategy. Now that was all from my side. Thank you so much.